Sorry about that, everybody. Welcome to our week 2 community webinar. I hope that everybody had a good time in their squad meetings last week, and you guys enjoyed the community meeting we had and had some fun with your at-home activities. I know that I got a lot of cool feedback from our facilitators that said people were having a good time building their cairns and talking about vision. So thank you guys for engaging in that and jumping into it and signing on and getting to meet your squads. I know that I had a blast getting to know my squads a little bit. Unfortunately, one of our facilitators, Logan, took a little spill on his bike and had to skip his initial squad meeting. We're hoping to get him back. And then Cassandra, I see your message, and we'll check into that. So just stay tuned. We'll get you in a squad. If you guys haven't been able to find your squads or need to change your time or anything, just shoot me or Kelsey an email, and we'll get you sorted out. So thank you for your patience as we all kind of get used to this kind of stuff. It's new for all of us. So tonight, we are going to have an awesome conversation with Jeff Evans. He's our guest tonight. We'll kick off here with him in a brief second. We'll follow up with some Q&A, and then we'll go over this week's at-home activity, as well as the 2 elements that we're touching on, which are Reach and Pioneer. So with that, I'd like to welcome Jeff Evans.
Start my video, Holmes.
Oh, I got to start your video. So this is always learning. All right. That work, Jeff?
Nope.
I don't know what's going on. I'm not sure why you aren't able to.
Can you hear me, Nate?
I can hear you, yeah. Can you guys hear Jeff? Can somebody say yes in the chat if they can hear Jeff? Okay, cool. They can hear you, Jeff. They just can't see you. And I have the only thing that I'm doing, and thank you guys for bearing with me here as I troubleshoot this with Jeff. I'm trying to start your video, but it's just not letting me.
All right. Well, I'm not that pretty to look at anyway, so let me just start talking while you're clumsing through your AV situation. So while Nate's doing that, I see there's 61 people online, and out of those 61, I just saw one name that looks very familiar, which is a guy that goes by the name of John Toth. And then I know there's another guy that's online right now who is a really good friend of mine named Johnny Gilpin, who is also online right now. So I just want to say that to all of you that I don't know, I look forward to having some conversations with you down the road. And I'm excited that all of you have decided to take this plunge into this virtual.
Oh, crap.
I still can't get you, Nate. Can you hear me all right, bud?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, so it says the host, just because we want to do it, says the host has stopped the video. So I think you might have to share a screen or something like that.
Man, I'm struggling here. Sorry about this, guys. Yeah, Jeff, I tried to go into our Zoom and change some settings. I think it might just be stuck without video for now, which is unfortunate.
Okay. All right, that's fine. I mean, once again, I'm not much to look at anyway, so let's just chat. So fire away, Nate.
Yeah, so we had asked Jeff to come on. Jeff has a pretty rich history with No Barriers as our organization. All right, there we are.
Oh, it worked. Look at that.
Sweet. All right, cool.
All right.
Yeah, now you guys get to see Jeff. Cool.
Like I told you, not much to see. So, all right, hit it, Nate. Let me hear what you got, man.
Yeah, sweet. So, Jeff, he has a pretty rich history at the program. If any of you guys had a chance to read the book or look into the organization at all, you know that Eric Weidmeyer is one of our founders, and one of the big things that kicked off the Warriors program was, Eric's successful summit of Mount Everest, which Jeff was. I know, Jeff, you should explain your role in that a little bit better. You were there. I just read about it.
Well, yeah, you were still probably in junior high school at the time, if that. So, yeah. So I guess the backstory is, many of you have heard of Eric and what Eric has done. And as amazing as Eric is, just like any successful individual, there's always a team that's behind them. And, this was in 2001 that Eric and I were part of an amazing group of friends that went up and tried to do something really big that, I don't think any of us had any inkling how successful or impactful it would ultimately be, but we did what I think all good teams, and I think what everybody on this call has experienced at some point, being on the kind of team that you feel such a strong affinity for. You feel more strongly about the success of the person next to you than your own success. And I think that everybody on this call probably gets that. And maybe even was a catalyst for why you signed that on that line to begin with. And that was, I think, the bedrock of our success on Everest. And that was 19 years ago. And what came from that success of getting Eric to the top of Everest was ultimately the opportunity to have a platform to tell stories and to encourage people to do big things and to reach and to stretch and to create vision and to have alchemy and all these different components that everybody's heard about now. And to celebrate our 10-year anniversary of summiting Everest, the team came together and tried to determine what the best course of action would be to celebrate that. And we talked about all kinds of shit. We talked about, like, maybe we'd go, try to do a first ascent somewhere in Nepal, some mountain that had never been climbed before. Maybe we were going to go, go do some big sort of random adventure in some random place on the other side of the planet. Maybe we just go sit on a beach and get drunk for 2 days. Like, we talked about all these different options. And then we realized that honestly, that if we were to truly honor what happened with our expedition on Everest, if we were to truly honor the nature of it and the spirit of it, the best way to do that is to share it. And who better to share it with than a group of people that all of us have immense respect for, and feel like we've always felt like the veteran community could truly relate to what it means to be on an expedition and to feel the energy that's required of you to head out on a mission, to set an objective, to gather in your resources, to establish your team, to train up and be prepared, and then to head out on a mission. And in that mission, it's chock full of many different variables that all want to try and derail your success. That's a mountaineering expedition. That's being in the outdoors. That's being a part of a team. And so we set out to try and capture that in the first christening adventure or expedition for what was then called Soldiers to Summits in 2011. And we went to Nepal and we climbed a 20,000 foot peak named Lobuche, which is sort of in the shadow of Mount Everest. And we did that in 2011. And we had an amazing group of veterans that were with us from all branches. And we had an amazing experience. I think everybody agrees it was very impactful. What it taught us is that we have a lot of space to fill in that first trip, meaning all the curriculum that's now being shared and has been developed over the past 9 years sprang from that, us realizing that, you know, we could truly create solid impact if we could create some tangible learning opportunities that come from these experiences of being together. And then the curriculum was developed, and John Toth was instrumental in that throughout that. I know he's on the call right now, and I would be remiss if I didn't say that so much of what's happening in this program right now sprang out of that dude's brain. So much respect to him, and a lot of people had come together. And I ain't gonna lie, Nate, I hate blowing smoke up anybody's ass too much, but you are obviously the heart and soul right now of the program, and I didn't know that at first, but it's true, and I'm grateful for you.
Yeah, thanks, man. I mean, we're all here for the same reason. We want to, create awesome experiences for people and change people's lives. And I think it's important to know where this program came from, especially right now in this kind of pivotal time where we're adapting and overcoming just continuous, barriers and odds that keep getting thrown at us. So,
yeah.
You guys, everybody that's on this call, everybody that's part of this program is absolutely, a pioneer of this program as we push on. There was somebody that took the first step on one of our mountaineering expeditions. There was a group that took the first step on one of our multi-day river expeditions, and you guys are now the people that are doing this for the first time ever. So
yeah,
this is now this will be part of the history of this program, and we're excited to have this as an addition to the things that we do in the field as well. So and then you have guys like Jeff who were and he actually was correct. I was in senior high school whenever him and Eric were standing on top of Everest. So who would have thunk that, 20 years later, I'd be sitting here chatting on TV with them. But yeah, so that's a good bit of history, Jeff, and thank you. And so since then, what have you been up to?
Oh boy. Since 2011, holy shit, man! You want me to?
Well, we can reel it into last, just give us the red zone, give us the highlights.
Yeah, and I want to make it relatable. I'll make it at least, so there's a parallel with the Warriors program. I've been on a lot of the trips because being the senior program advisor gives me the opportunity to take off on some of these journeys. And I've since 2011, I've been given the opportunity to, we've gone on a lot of different trips all the way from Ecuador. We climbed Cotopaxi several years ago with a group. Then we went to Gannett Peak and went to Wyoming and did a climb up there a few years ago. And in my mind, like I mentioned, I know that everybody that's a part of, especially of this virtual component and how we're having to execute this now, I know that all of you, without even knowing you, I feel like I know you. I don't know you personally, but I have a sense of maybe where you've been and what drew you to this program. And part of that is your love for being in the outdoors and your appreciation for being in the wild places. And I know that all of you intuitively know that being in those wild places, nothing's certain. Everything is you can do your best to map everything out. You can do your best to map out an expedition and say, we're gonna start on day one, and by day 15 we should be standing on top. And that never happens, right? It never happens. I mean, there's always just these issues and challenges that come out of nowhere. And that's why mountain climbing and climbing in general and being outside doing expeditions is such a concentrated version of life, right? And that's why, you know, we want to be together in the outdoors, and we want to be outside. We want to knuckle down. We want to experience some pain together. We want to experience discomfort together. And I personally am grateful for that. All of us, I think, here's another shot in the dark, not knowing everybody on here, but my guess is everybody that's listening right now likes to go through take a dive into the pain cave just a little bit, and ain't afraid to be a little bit uncomfortable. And I personally am a big fan of that place. I got season tickets to the pain cave. I go back there all the time, as often as I can. Sometimes a little deeper into it than others. But I find that going through those places of being really uncomfortable, when you come out of them, you are better. You are better. You are stronger. Your calluses are bigger. You know, your ability to put out fires is you're more capable. And the alliances that you come out with, are honestly, you know, irreplaceable. You know, I was not in the military, and I can only imagine the relationships that you developed when you were in, and I can only hope that through these experiences, with our programming and through the opportunities that hopefully will come after we're done with virtual and we can move on to hugging each other and high-fiving and being in the wild places again, that you appreciate that discomfort that comes with it, and the alliances that you create from these experiences of being together. So I've been very blessed to have been on a lot of these trips over the years, and hopefully we'll do a couple more before my knees decide to give out. I didn't answer your question really, but I figured I'd just riff for a minute.
Yeah, right on, man. You know, that kind of just hearing like about the pain cave and you know how adversity kind of really bonds people together. It kind of made me think about, you know, I was reading into the book you just wrote a little bit, and about the acronym VUCA, and how that is all kind of focused on like how to really like face adversity head on, and how to embrace that stuff, control. You want to just tell us a little bit about the book that you just wrote?
Yeah. So I'll have to you did ask me, and maybe I'll give you a partial question or answer to your question. You know, what have you been doing since then? It's been a few things. I go to Nepal almost every year, pretty much every year. I think I've done 14 Himalayan expeditions over the years. And, you know, one of the, was it 3 years ago? 4 years ago, I was volunteering as an NGO on a medical team where we deployed into a very rural area in Nepal after the earthquake in Nepal, where 10,000 people were killed. And we were on the ground there. We set up this MASH unit medical tent and worked there for weeks on it. Then the very next year, I got asked to be the chief medic on a helicopter search and rescue team on Mount Everest. And for those of you who want to watch some of that, well, I think you can, I don't know where you go watch it, but it was the Travel Channel film, 6 episodes of us, and hooked up a bunch of GoPros and so forth. And you can probably find that on YouTube or whatever. It's called Everest Air, and you can watch some of that. And then the very next year, I got a very interesting opportunity from the same NGO that I deployed with to Nepal and to Haiti before, and Vanuatu. The head of the NGO called me up and he said, "Listen, we've got an interesting opportunity from the World Health Organization. Apparently, this was the way it was pitched to me. Apparently, the Iraqi Special Operations Forces in Mosul are requesting Western trained trauma specialists to be able to come in and embed with them in Mosul and accept and treat their casualties as they're taking the fight to Mosul in Center City, Mosul. Now, my guess is there's a handful of people on this call that have definitely been in that part of the world, for quite a while. So I went over to Mosul and was there for a month, and we embedded with ISOF. And those of you who are over there, you know that if you know the difference between Iraqi special operations and the federal police, the Fedpol, and what a shit show the Fedpol is compared to ISOF, who are, the ISOF guys were trained by us, by our elite forces. And so we embedded with ISOF, and basically we just took in the Fedpol guys as they were getting shot and blown up. And I did that for several weeks, a month. And it was nothing compared to what many of you have experienced. And I came away with that experience, that event, and I already had an immense level of respect for all of you that volunteered your lives, your time, your service to be able to protect all of us. And I tell you, I came back from that event and my level of respect went even higher through the roof, more profound, especially for combat medics, because I know I got a sense of what you went through, a little bit, just a small little tiny grain of sand of what you went through. And I have the deepest profound respect for all of you. But I got back from that and I was a little bit, it threw me off my game a little bit. I saw a lot of stuff, and I started talking to some friends, maybe even a couple that are on this call, and in those conversations, I have a good buddy that's been on and off SEAL Team 6 for 20 years. He says he's like the Brett Favre. He's like the Brett Favre of the teams, right? And maybe somebody knows him. His name is Mark Ozdarsky. Everybody calls him Oz. And I talked to Oz for a fair bit after I got back from Mosul, and he introduced me to this acronym called VUCA, and it's VUCA. It stands for volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And it was an old acronym that was initiated by the American War College back in the 80s, the mid 80s, to prepare their soon-to-be graduates for the junk show that they were all about to go out and operate in. So it's basically a set of criteria and bullet points and learning opportunities, a curriculum, if you will, that can show us, illustrate to us how to be better, how to be the best version of you when things are a little bit sideways, when things are maybe not exactly how you planned them. And isn't that the case for all of us, right? So, on the heels of the Everest search and rescue season and working with the earthquake and being in Mosul, I came back and, Oz introduces me to this VUCA concept. And I started realizing that very clearly that all of us are operating in this VUCA atmosphere. And what better opportunity to, consolidate some of my life experience stories and try and distill out the learning opportunities that have come from my experiences to be able to give us just a little bit of a platform to be able to try and be better when we are all operating personally and professionally, when things are, a little bit not right. Or maybe we started out on a plan and maybe we got rerouted. And isn't that the case right now? I mean, so I started writing this book 2 years ago, and I just finished it basically right when we went into quarantine with the Rona. It's called Climbing Through Storms: Managing Adversity in a VUCA World, and it's a pretty fun read. But more importantly, it gave me a lot of opportunity to take dives into, in a way, like the academic side of, you know, of how hard and challenging things can be, and how to optimize my efforts when things are not going quite as well as I wanted them to.
Yeah, very cool. 2020 is definitely a VUCA year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's a single person here that's not feeling the squeeze of the weird stuff that's going on right now. So yeah, pretty timely moment in the world to release your book, Jeff. Cool.
Yeah,
Hey,
I mean, timing's everything, right? I didn't even plan it that way. It turns out it worked. It's good timing.
Totally.
Yeah.
So real quick, guys. So Jeff's book is available on Amazon, and we'll just do a super quick blast. You know, like at the end of these things, we give away prizes. But right now, I'll spin our wheel of destiny twice, and I'll send 2 people Jeff's book off Instagram.
Yeah.
So
that's beautiful. I love it, and I'll personalize those copies.
So Jeff, I made you the host, so I can no longer share my screen.
Oh shit. All right. Well, what do you want me to do? How can I do that?
So if you go to the participants tab, and thank you guys again for working through this with me. I'm not a Zoom master by any means, as we've all figured out.
Got it.
You go to panelists and you click on no barriers. That's me. And I believe you can say, make no barriers the host.
All right. I can do that. Let me see here.
InBody, I appreciate you telling people that you trust us, but man, I wouldn't if I were you.
Let's see. Change host.
Perfect.
There you go, home.
All right. Cool. 10 for book.
What are you doing? Spinning a wheel?
Yeah, man. Wayne. All right.
Yeah, just don't let Toast win it, or Johnny. Oh, good. Wayne, good. I like it. Wayne wins.
All right, cool. Wayne, if you're on there, I'm going to roll the thing one more time. And we'll see who else is going to get a copy of Jeff's book kicked to him.
I think this thing might be rigged.
All right, Michael.
6 is in.
Cool. And we're not going to worry if you guys are here to be here to win the prizes at the end, but cool. So I'll fire those books off to you guys via Amazon, and you have to let us know how you think of them, and leave a review for Jeff once you're on there.
Yeah, do it.
Cool, very cool. So Jeff, we did have a couple Q&As for you, and the first one was knowing how you guys had the mission. This is going back to the climbing stuff, and having Murphy always showing up. I assume Murphy's Law. How did you plan and train for climbing?
All right, hold on. So you delayed a little bit. So understanding that Murphy's Law kind of kicks in pretty much every day, all the time. How did we train and plan for what? For Everest?
I think just for the climbs, but I guess in general, like what's something you do to plan for Murphy's?
All right, well that's pretty good, and it's no different than I imagine what all of you did when you were active duty, which is a contingency, and then the contingency has a contingency, and then the contingency has another contingency. So that's the idea. I think that's the foundation of it all, is that we have to plan for things to not go right. So for instance, let's use Denali as an option, right? Denali, or as an example, Denali is the highest point in North America, right? So big mountain, 20,000 foot peak. You fly in, you land at base camp, and it's a 21-day trip, and there's a lot of variabilities in each of the routes. Every route has got some objective danger that's there. So more than once, we would fly in to do a Denali trip, and we'd have the route that we wanted to climb set up, and we'd get there, and the route we wanted to do was not in. So we'd have to then take that extra. It takes more energy to pivot, right? Because you're like, oh man, I got it all figured out. I've got all the tools in my backpack. I got the route plan. I got everything ready to go. And now I get here and I'll be damned, it's not ready. It's not in. And we have to do a full pivot. Now we have to pick up everything and move and shift and change the route. Maybe we even have to change our gear. Maybe our skill sets that we have to be balanced a little bit more. But that's what's required of us, is that full on pivot over to the other side of the mountain in some cases, to say, okay, now this route is in, now we can fire away. So it all comes down to contingencies. And I tell you one other thing, and once again, none of this is news to any of you. You've all done it. You're all trained like this, is to have that mindset. I call it the expeditionary mindset. To have the expeditionary mindset baked in to everyone, so that everybody is on the page, right? Everybody's speaking the same language, that it's not some surprise when we have to do this pivot, that we don't get all, bummed out when we have to. It is what it is, man. Like, we're here and we are climbing. It may not be what we planned, and it's going to take some effort, but we're going to continue this trajectory. We just have to now we're going to have to do it a different way. Mm-hmm. And it takes more effort. But I think that expeditionary mindset, if you think like that, you start thinking that way, that it doesn't hurt as much. It doesn't bum you out as much. And you're more prepared when it's time to actually move around and do something else. Good question.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, man. It is, more like, you can plan out and write on paper all the logistics you have in the world, but if you don't have that mindset of flexibility and accepting the things you can't control and being just not only like okay, but like happy to switch things up on the fly, it can be pretty rough to get stuck in your in your plan A and not really be willing to go to plan B, C. That's
right.
Is important. All right, cool. So we got another question. So my father has glaucoma and is legally blind and losing his remaining vision quickly. Eric's story has touched my family and I a lot. What challenges did you face guiding Eric up the mountain as he could not see?
Well, I mean, we're gonna have to extend this all the way through tomorrow, because this is gonna take a while. But I mean, you can imagine challenges. I'll tell you though, there's parts of guiding Eric that are easy. There are parts that are hard. There are parts that I just have to knuckle down because it sucks. And then there's parts that I am so eternally grateful for. So, for instance, when I'm guiding him, it takes the energy from my effort, but then the emotional energy to always make sure that my man is not going to die. Right? Like I have to be fully dialed in on all the variables around me that are going to try and kill him. Right? And there's a lot of them. When the blind dude's climbing a big mountain, there's a lot of ways for him to get dead. A lot of ways for me to get dead, but there's a lot of ways, even more ways for him to get dead. Right? So my spectrum, my peripheral is wider than it is when it's just me. So therein lies the gift. Because when I'm climbing with him, even though I'm putting more effort into guiding him than I would be if I'm just on my own, the requirement from me is a gift, because now I'm looking more. I'm more visually acute. I'm acutely focused on anything that is around me, and therefore I see more. I'm listening more. I'm watching more. I'm anticipating more, and that's a gift. I didn't know that for years because it didn't occur to me. And then after years of being with him and taking him through, one shit show after the next, I realized I'm actually, when I'm with him, my spidey senses are straight up, bam, 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 man. I'm always on point. Whereas when I'm by myself or I'm with other buddies, maybe not so much. Right. So, that's the gift of guiding him. There's another gift that comes with it when I'm really tired, long days, multiple days. When I'm guiding him, I tend to push my own pain and discomfort to the back because I know I've got a job. Now, what happens with that is I'm really focused on him, and when it's all over, when we either summit or we get back down and we're done, then I typically, like, my body collapses, man. Like, so many times I've been on high alert for days after day after day after day, and then I'm done, and now it's time to go take a 3-day nap. So it's a very complex thing leading him.
Cool. And Sarah, you asked that question, and we're going to have Eric on as a guest in a few weeks here, so you'll have to ask him what is the hardest thing about being guided by Jeff Evans, and I'm sure he'll have some moments for you to accompany that. Cool. Jeff, I got one more question for you that we're gonna work over to something else here. But can you talk about what it means to reach? And reach is one of our No Barriers Life elements. And can you share a time that you reached and didn't make it, and what that was like for you?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So the whole idea of the reach is I think maybe a little bit more of a developed way to think about sort of going beyond what's comfortable. And obviously, I think Everest was a big reach for us and our team, undoubtedly. And I think that when you try to do big things, when you try to do things that are perhaps right at the edge of your skill set or your comfort zone, and the incident of failure has to be a part of that equation. And I've long ago sort of put away that idea that if I don't stand on top, that it's a failure. I think when I was younger, especially at the beginning of my climbing career, if we didn't stand on a summit, that was a total failure. Like, we screwed up. Something happened. We did something wrong to not be able to get to the top. And it was happening a lot, right? I mean, there was a lot of expeditions that I'd go on that we didn't make it to the top. And I was taking that as a personal insult, because it was almost a way, like a reflection of me screwing up, right? Or me not being good enough. And it's taken me decades to realize that I may not stand on top of something, but I am going to reach. I'm going to try to do something that's hard. And when I try hard things, I got to accept the fact that that summit is a part of my journey, but that life doesn't take place on the summit. Life takes place on the flanks of the mountain, right? That's where life happens. Life takes place on the sides of the mountain. On the sides of the mountain every day, man. That's where we get our asses kicked. That's where we fall down. That's where we stand back up. We brush ourselves off. We re-engage. We realign. And then we set out again. We step off and try to continue to do these hard things. Because if y'all think about it, man, like, we really, all of us, only have a handful of summits in our lives. Just a few, really. I mean, professionally, personally, just a handful of those precious summits. But everything else is leading up to those. So we have to work our asses off when we're on the side of the mountain, using that experience as feedback, so that when we do have those moments, man, those precious summits that are so valuable and so wonderful, that we are more capable to be able to enjoy it and embrace it and drink it up, and then head on down, back down, because life doesn't take place on a singular mountain either. It's a mountain range. So, just after you feel like you've had that beautiful summit, you come down to base camp and you're like, "Hey, check me out." And then that next big ass mountain is already staring at you, just to see, if you've got what it takes. It's already staring down at you. So there's so many metaphors built into mountaineering. So I think that the idea of reaching and trying is a part of that process.
Cool. Yeah, that's awesome. Well said. And definitely, somebody in the comments, it is the journey, it's not the destination all the time. So it's, man, if you can't enjoy the journey, the destination just isn't as sweet either. So yeah, good words of wisdom, Jeff. And, we appreciate you taking some time to chat with us tonight. Definitely drop your, your social media stuff in the comments, or a link to your book on Amazon for the,
like in the chat, I can go and chat here.
Oh yeah, you haven't seen the chat yet? See, yeah, you're not a Zoom pro either then. Down at the bottom, yeah, you can fire up a chat.
Type message here.
Yeah, if you guys have any other questions for Jeff here, feel free to ask him in the chat. Oh, if you gotta go to all panelists and attendees, Jeff.
Okay, chat with all panelists and attendees.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
All right.
Hi,
cool.
Hi, y'all. Okay. Yeah, there we go.
Right, cool. Well, Jeff, I'm gonna kick your video off here, and again, man, thanks for being here. I appreciate you. It's always good to shoot the breeze with you, and I'm glad these guys got to meet you and learn a little bit about what you're up to, and a little bit of the history of this program.
Yeah, thanks everybody, and thanks Nate. I appreciate it. And hey, everybody, I'm grateful to you for being a part of it, and I wish you nothing but fun and growth throughout the whole process. And I hope that I get to see everybody at some point in a future event. So thanks for having me.
All right, thanks, Jeff.
All right, man.
All right, cool guys. I hope you enjoyed hearing a little bit of Jeff's story. He's a pretty unique dude in the world, and we're pretty psyched to have him as part of our No Barriers community, and helping guide us through these experiences for people. So just a super quick touch on what our at-home activity is this week. This is an easy one. This is a low-hanging fruit. So for this one, last week was vision. We wanted you to think about your life a little bit, think about your values, the things that make you proud to be who you are. And this week, we're double dipping. So we're going to go over reach and pioneer. So the quick No Barriers description of them is for reach, and Jeff kind of touched on it a little bit. But reach is whenever you see that vision and you know what you want to go after. It's the effort of going for it. And not everything is an easy reach. Not everything is that low-hanging fruit that you can just pluck down. Some stuff is grueling and hard, and at the bottom of the pain cave. So really learning how to lean into that reach aspect of it. And sometimes when that just raw force doesn't work, we step into the next element. It's called pioneer. And much like what the word's derived from, at least what I assume it's derived from, like pioneers, like pushing across the country, or really like just being at the top of their game and inventing new ways and new techniques to beat things. Sometimes you have to step back and reevaluate your reach, and just come up with some different tactics, some different techniques, some things that you might have never thought of. Get outside the box, all those other metaphors. But reach and pioneer are really where the rubber meets the road for thinking up that vision and then driving it into real life. And we'll cover some more of those elements as the course goes on. But your activity for this week is just to take a walk, and not just a walk around your neighborhood. It can be a walk around your neighborhood. Take a walk, but really make it an introspective walk. Think a little bit about what your vision is, or what your values are. And if you haven't thought of a vision statement for yourself, I know some groups talk about it, but think about something that at the end of this course, by the time this course is over, an actual change that you want to make in your life. And it doesn't have to be momentous. It doesn't have to be this grand goal. It can be something super simple, but spend this walk thinking about that. Think about what your vision is. Think about what you're going to have to do to push through it. And what you're going to do if an obstacle comes in your way, that you have to be creative and think through to get to it. So, Kelsey sent you guys an email. That upload is in there. So just kind of do your assignment, take a photo, and, maybe just as far as a reach, like maybe walk a little further away from your house than you ever have. I'm sure you've driven every which way direction from your house, but maybe you haven't walked that far. Maybe there's like a trail that you've always wanted to walk on, but you just haven't because you haven't had time. So make time, make that reach, and get out there and explore a little bit. And then we will end our session tonight with our giveaway. So tonight's giveaway, we're going to have a OtterBox stainless steel insulated tumbler. OtterBox is our neighbor here in Fort Collins. They're like right across the road. So they are pretty kind donors for us. We have a Patagonia trucker hat. I only wore it for a little bit, so it's still pretty fresh. And then we also have an OtterBox. OtterCares is OtterBox's outreach program. So we have an OtterBox dry box. And in the spirit of mountaineering, since Jeff was our guest today, our friends at La Sportiva gave us this coupon for a free pair of mountaineering boots that you get to pick out in your size and your style and your color. And it's free shipping. So you basically just go to La Sportiva's website, look at their mountain boot collection. There's a couple of them in there, like these $2,000, Everest climbing boots that you can't get, pretty understandable. But there's some pretty incredible boots in there. So you're going to get the box, the hat, the tumbler, and a sweet pair of boots. So I'll go back to my wheel, and I want to thank Trisha, one of our facilitators. She said that how I was doing it before was kind of lame. I agreed a little bit. So I went with her wheel idea, and I think it's pretty neat. So, all right, firing up for the boots and the OtterBox stuff. And remember, you do have to be here to win this. Jason, all right. Heck yeah, all right. Jason, I'm not even going to try to butcher your last name, but congratulations, buddy. I will be shooting you an email just to confirm your mailing address, and we'll get that shit out to you. Thank you all for tuning in for our Thursday night community meeting. We got 4 more of these guys in the weeks to come, and I look forward to introducing some more awesome guests to you guys, talk about No Barriers Life a little bit, and giving away some more fun prizes. So thank you very much. I hope you enjoy next week's squad meetings and get out and do some walking this weekend. Take care.